Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the very unsettled, icy, snowy and rainy breakdown we do have to the very cold period we have had to start December, or the first half of December really. We've got a lot of rain, sleet, ice and snow around over the course of today into the evening, but good news for those who want it slightly milder and less of these wintry hazards. It will all turn into rain by this evening, overnight into tomorrow, where most areas will be seeing temperatures getting in excess of 10 degrees, something we haven't seen in 2, 3, 4 weeks in some areas. It's going to be quite mild this week in the south, cooler in the north. There will still be mixing of air masses, so it's not going to feel mild all the time, and it's not going to feel cold in the north all the time. We will see milder days and cooler days, but we're not expecting anything exceptional like we've had recently. It's generally going to be around average, maybe actually slightly above average, as I said, in the south. However, as we head to the Christmas period, as we'll see on the longer range charts for the GFS, GM, ECWF and the ensembles, the models are all now trending towards a colder setup, starting around Christmas Day all the way through to the new year. How it happens, exactly the pressure patterns and air masses are not deciphered at all, as we'll see from the ensembles, but the general trend is for it to turn colder, even in the south, and especially in the north, with a return to snow and wintry hazards quite widely from that Christmas to New Year's period. How long it will last, how severe it will be, we still have no real clue, but the pattern does look likely now, with all the models showing colder air masses pushing in from the north, and most of the ensemble members going for at least 2 or 3 days of cold weather, some even longer. So we're right at the start of this potential cold spell, coming into sort of the reliable model time frame, so we will be seeing a lot of chopping and changing. So anything you see today could change for tomorrow, but we are seeing it trending colder over the last few days. So, to remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, after you start on the live radar, you can see the mess we have over the British Isles at the moment. All the blues here are showing snow, we've got some purples in here, which is showing sort of freezing rain and sleet, and then we've got rain here in green. So, you can see most of it is turning to rain. I'm recording this around 2 p.m, so there would have been more snow and sleet and freezing rain earlier, but now, as we head into the afternoon, most of this will be falling as rain. Now you can see across Scotland quite heavy snow here, and there will continue to be heavy snow here, hanging on to that colder air for a longer period of time, especially over the higher ground. So could see 10 to 20 centimetres of snow here. Through northern England into Yorkshire, again over the higher ground we are seeing snow at the moment and some freezing rain, but this will turn to rain properly over the course of the next sort of 12 hours or so. But this is where we've got the amber warning for ice here, where we're seeing this purple and blues for the snow. This is where we've got very cold air at the surface, precipitation falling out of the sky, some of it is snow, some of it is rain, and all freezing as it hits the surface. It will only last a few hours over the course of this afternoon and evening. We haven't got long left of this very cold sort of pattern. The milder air really is pushing in, but just at the surface it is lingering, this freezing rain and snow. Further southwards you can see pretty much all rain now, still some slithers of snow towards East Anglia, but I'm guessing this is a lot of mixing, where there's a bit of snow, a bit of rain, depending on intensities, but you can just see the big mass of rain pushing up now, and again, no doubt that this is rain, just simply because the upper air conditions are extremely mild now, pushing into the south, and that will be reflected in the surface. It's still like 2 or 3, 4 degrees in the south, it's still quite cold, but that is the coldest layer of the atmosphere really at the moment. All the upper levels are turning a lot milder as this southerly push of air comes in, but of course accompanied by a lot of heavy rain. So if you are going out this afternoon or this evening, it's going to be a wet one pretty widely. Very few areas going to escape precipitation this evening, and luckily though most of it will be turning to rain over the course of the next few hours. Now I'm recording this around 2 p.m, so by the time you're seeing this, so a lot of this probably will be turning to rain, but you can see the big temperature contrast at the moment. Look across Southern Ireland and South West England, the yellow is pushing in, so temperatures in excess of 10 degrees. But you should push slightly further eastwards and northwards into Kent, London, East Anglia, the Midlands, temperatures still hovering just above freezing, around 1 or 2 degrees. So slightly mild enough to see all the snow on the ground at the moment melting and thawing, and the precipitation out of the sky to be falling as rain, but we are still seeing a bit of snow on the ground, and the temperatures are still very cold. So it's sort of this really cold, rainy pattern, but it is turning milder. So there's no chance of snow here at all, even though the surface conditions are still quite cold. You can see why we've got freezing rain, because it still is around freezing across parts of Yorkshire, the North Midlands into northern England. Still around freezing there, so a bit of snow and freezing rain again. Hazards from the amber warning. But again, all of this yellows will be taken over, and by tomorrow I'm expecting the afternoon temperatures to be widely around that 10 to 12 degree mark. So if you do go over to the weather warnings now, as of this afternoon, we've got widespread warnings. We did have an ice warning issued for areas in the south, but because the temperatures are now all above freezing and it's all falling as rain, that ice warning has expired. So we've got an amber warning for ice and snow and ice across parts of northern England into Scotland, and then yellow warnings for rain in the south, because we're going to see a lot of rain falling now. It starts 6 p.m. this evening till 6 a.m, so even though we've seen the big mass of rain pushing at the moment, the heaviest stuff that's likely to accumulate the most and give the issues is likely to fall this evening through Monday into Tuesday. 25 to 50 millimetres to fall widely, some areas 50 to 80 millimetres in a few areas of Sussex and Dorset, and parts of Dartmoor, especially southern facing higher ground, could exceed 130 millimetres. And for the area across southern Wales, the Brecon Beacons here, 35 to 50 millimetres may fall widely, with 70 to 90 millimetres possible over south-facing higher ground. Further northwards, if we look, you can see a big snow and ice warning from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. this evening. So by the time you're watching this, only got a few hours left of this snow and ice warning. A period of freezing rain and snow will lead to some disruption to travel and other activities before turning to rain. So as I said, it will all turn to rain by later this evening. If we look at the further details again, 1 to 3 centimetres at lower levels, 5 to 10 centimetres across upland areas, and 10 to 15 centimetres on higher ground. But it will melt pretty rapidly once the rain becomes established. But there will be some blizzard conditions and freezing rain across the Pennines with a lot of ice issues. And then we have the amber ice warning. A period of freezing rain and some snow will lead to some disruption from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. So again, as you're watching this, probably only 3-4 hours of freezing rain risk left. But as we saw on the live radar, it is transitioning. The rain is now across northwest England, so that milder air will be properly pushing in over the course of the next few hours. But again, 2 to 3 millimetres could build up on untreated surfaces and stronger winds before the milder air does push in. Now, if you go to the UKV now and have a look at the precipitation and temperature over the next 5 days, it's the first time we're really looking at this, and we've got no cold weather really in the next 5-day time frame, which we haven't been able to say for about 3 weeks, all the way to the start of December now, or end of November to start of December. We've had colder weather in the sort of 5-day time frame, but now we've got nothing at all really, apart from a few wintry showers across Scotland, high ground of Scotland, which is usual for this time of year. Now, after you run through, you can see earlier this morning that rain pushing in, snow in some places, but now just turning into a massive heavy rain. Over the course of this evening, even heavier rain will push into the southwest, and that's why we've got that yellow rain warning issued. As we head through into Monday, it's just going to be a day of blustery showers and periods of heavy rain, but thick cloud as well, so there's not even any sunshine to break it up. Could be a few brighter spells in places, but a lot of cloud and a lot of heavier rain in this muggy, mild air mass. As we head through Monday evening or afternoon into the evening, just more heavier rain pushing in. And as we head into Tuesday, it should turn drier in places, but still heavy rain through Tuesday morning. And by Tuesday afternoon, actually, it's turning slightly drier. So Tuesday might not be actually too bad of a day. With much milder conditions around, it might actually feel a little bit pleasant out there in some areas in the south, in the sunshine. Yes, it's still winter, so temperatures are not going to be anything much more than sort of 12 degrees, 10, 12 degrees or so. But with sunshine around, it's going to feel a hell of a lot milder than it has done over the last few weeks. Wintry showers starting to return to Scotland as slightly colder air does dig in once again, but nothing exceptional. As we head into Wednesday, just more showers pushing in from the west with a typical westerly regime and bits of rain. And again, this stuff will change nearer the time, but just, expect heavy rain and generally milder conditions over the course of the next 5 days in the lead up to Christmas. But as I said, for Christmas Day and beyond that, it could be turning a lot colder. Now, the reason for this, if you look at the upper air temperatures, generally going to be around sort of low single digits, so a few degrees above average and potentially quite a lot above average tomorrow, with upper air temperatures getting towards 8 or 9 degrees temperatures you'd see. Generally expecting in sort of spring or autumn time, that would be sort of our average, to be slightly above average in spring or autumn. So incredibly warm air mass this time of year pushing in, but again, we've had an incredibly cold air mass the last few weeks, so again, we were expecting milder air to come eventually, but again, it is transitioning very, very quickly. If you look at the 2 metre temperatures, you'll be able to see the temperatures this afternoon are still very cold. You can see widely still into the mid to low single digits by mid to late this afternoon, and still below freezing across northern England and Scotland. Overnight tonight, though, all temperatures will be rising above freezing, and it's going to be potentially, look at that, 12, 13, maybe even the isolated 14 degrees tomorrow afternoon, so very, very mild. Again, it will take a knock to the CET, because the CET is 4 degrees below average at the moment, and this is going to probably add half a degree or so at least to it, simply because just how mild this is. But still, will be still a very cold month so far, but a very mild spell coming in the middle of it. You can see, though, as we head into Monday evening into Tuesday, temperatures will start to cool down ever so slightly, and you can actually see Tuesday afternoon only popping maybe 7 to 8 degrees in many areas, maybe 9, 10, 11 in a few areas, but with more sunshine around the south, it'll probably actually feel like a more of a pleasant day than Monday, because Monday will have a lot of cloud and rain around. As we head into Wednesday, those temperatures are still not particularly great. They're generally milder than we've had recently, quite a bit milder, good 5 to 10 degrees milder than in many areas, but they will be around average, sort of 5 to 7 degrees, and that will continue into Thursday, still generally mild around 10 to 12, and into Friday as well, where it's still mild in the south, but cooling down in the north, and we're expecting it to turn quite a bit cooler in the north over the course of the Christmas period, potentially, as I said, pushing southwards. Now, if you have a look at the GFN and see what that is showing over the course of the next few weeks, and you can see we've got this southerly wind pushing at the moment, blocking still towards Greenland, and that's not going anywhere. That's why cold weather could return properly post-Christmas, or starting on Christmas into the new year. And you can see the southerly wind moving in at the moment. Low pressure just ganging up in the Atlantic and giving us westerly winds. But if we do head towards Christmas Day, you can see a northerly wind returns. We just have to wait for that low to clear, and by Christmas Day Eve into the Boxing Day, we've got a northerly wind, lower pressure involved, and very cold air flooding in from the north. Look at that, the minus 10 degree isotherm is pushing in for many areas. Temperature deviation 10 degrees or 6 to 8 degrees, potentially getting out towards 10 degrees below average in a few spots. Look at the potential equivalent temperature as well, bitterly cold air moving in. That would give temperatures hardly above freezing in many areas. Again, very, very cold, and we stay in this colder air mass potentially all the way through to the new year, before eventually the GFS pushes a slightly milder air mass in. But something we need to keep an eye on, it has been trending, I've seen from some people on Twitter and in some of the long-range models, as Scandinavian high, which could be trying to build there into the new year. But again, we're not seeing anything sustained here. This is showing sort of a 3 or 4 day cold spell from around the 25th, 26th to the 30th, before turning slightly milder again. But again, this is longer range stuff here, post the small sort of cold spell we're seeing at the moment. So still very much up in the air what's happening around that new year point. If you look at the GEM, see how that does compare. Again, the southerly winds at the moment, then turning to veering to more of a westerly, and then that cold air pushes in for Christmas Day, and it turns very unsettled and cold all the way to the 28th. You can see that blocking, extending towards Greenland and Iceland with a northerly flow, unstable flow, and a very cold air mass pushing in, so you'd expect to see plenty of snow showers around from around the 25th to the 28th here. Again, we'll just have to see how sustained this in, with an Atlantic system trying to push in. We could see milder air come in for a time, but again, if that blocking gets going again towards Greenland, we could see slider lows, this pushing down into France, and that could introduce frontal systems, maybe significant snow towards the new year. Again, these are all if buts and maybes, but we're definitely seeing this trend to a colder air mass getting established again around Christmas Day into the new year. It just depends on how long it lasts and what happens with the breakdown of that, if it does only last 3 or 4 days. So again, very interesting from the GFS and the GEM. It's not just a slight below average air mass, it's properly cold air mass. The minus 10 isotherm moving into Scotland. Similar air mass, if not slightly colder than the air mass we've had the last couple of weeks. Again, it's not an established air mass over the top of us when it arrives, so it will take a time for that cold air to feed all the way to the surface and the ground conditions. So don't expect anything fantastic on Christmas Day. Yes, with this sort of pattern, we'd be expecting highs of maybe 2, 3, 4 degrees and lows of well below freezing. It would be the days after that which could turn very, very cold. But we'll have to see what happens with that. As we see the ensembles, you'll be able to see the big spread we do have and the uncertainty with the time frame and the severity. Now, if you look at the ECMWF, again, southerly wind pushing in at the moment, veering more of a northerly into the Christmas Day period, but the ECMWF has more blocking towards Greenland, but the heights do not drop towards Europe, which keeps a southerly flow pushing in. Now, right beyond that, towards the 28th, we do eventually pull in a northerly wind, so the pattern is still there, cold air mass pushing in, but the Christmas Day period, slightly beyond that, it doesn't quite go as cold. So again, something we'll have to keep an eye on. But for the time being, all three runs are showing at least more of a northerly influence from that Christmas Day period onwards, just establishing it slightly differently. The one big thing I'll say with this is it's all generally in more of an unstable air mass than we have had over this cold spell. So yes, many areas did see snow the past few weeks, but it was nowhere near as widespread as it could have been if we had more of an unstable flow and more of these tighter ice bars, meaning more showers and more areas of instability, more snow coming further inland. This sort of pattern is bringing a cold air mass and very unstable air mass in as well. So you'd expect it to turn, yes, cold, but very snowy as well. Whether we see significant snow build up or just a load of snow showers, we'll have to wait for nearer the time. If you look at the the GFS and the ECMWF ensembles now, you can see generally we are milder than average toward the Christmas period. But look at the flip around the 24th, generally to below average, and around the 26th we actually go really quite cold with the majority of the ensemble members down to -5, and lower than that, including the operational run, which does go very cold for a time, but returns to average conditions very quickly, whereas most of the ensemble members go cold around the 24th to 26th, stay cold all the way to around the 30th, maybe even beyond that. Quite a distinct shift in the ensemble members here towards 2 or 3 to 4 degrees below average. Cold conditions turning drier as well, symbolic of a colder air mass. And then in the long term it does slightly rise, but once again we'll have to see what happens with that. Generally though, it is looking cold from Christmas to the New Year. Again, you can see this well reflected on the dew points, generally dropping towards freezing for around the 25th, 26th, all the way to around the 30th, 31st, even into the start of January. Again, symbolic of a cold Arctic air mass becoming more established. Huge change to what we have for the next sort of 3 or 4 days, where the dew points are generally between 5 and 10 degrees, which is showing an Atlantic mild air mass pushing in. And you can see it reflects on the 2 meter temperatures, again dropping down to the low single digits. Again, I wouldn't trust these too much at this stage because they've got a lot of scatter within them, but there is the potential for temperatures to widely get back down to those low single digits, if not towards freezing in the day from the 25th, 26th onwards. As I did say earlier, it will take a couple of days for cold weather to get re-established, because this milder air we're seeing this next week will rapidly increase the soil temperatures, the ground temperatures, and the air temperatures in general. So it will take a couple of days for any cold weather to really filter through the atmosphere. So yes, it could turn very cold in the upper airs on Christmas Day. We don't expect any real cold if this pattern does become established, as we've seen on some of these ensemble members and the operational runs. We would expect it to turn really cold probably until Boxing Day, the 27th, 28th. That's when any real potential comes in. Now, if you look at the ECMWF ensembles, again, very similar over the next 5 days up until Christmas Eve, of temperatures generally above average. And then we see that drop around the 25th, 26th to below average. Again, a lot of spread from the ECMWF ensemble members, but general trend is for lower than average conditions. Again, below average conditions. Again, some going very cold, others just generally cool. So again, we'll have to see. You can see the ECMWF operational run for the Christmas Day, Christmas Eve and the 27th. Christmas Day, Boxing Day and the 27th is more of an outlier with much milder conditions than most of the ensemble members go. So that's why I said it is a little bit on the milder side compared to the other operational runs, and generally this the ensembles as well. But still very similar to the GFS ensembles, a colder trend from Christmas to the New Year. So again, we'll have to see how it does play out. But for the time being, very interesting conditions going to be coming up. But we have got at least 5 days now of milder conditions as we head up to Christmas. And then things could turn cold once again for the last week of the year. So we'll have to see how it does play out. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you again for another video soon.